I had only picked one mango, but for that mistake, I woke up every night for the next 15 days at exactly 4:40 a.m. The same nightmare, the same black shadow, and the same terrifying call. Come with me. At first, everyone thought it was my imagination, but when strange scratches appeared on my hands and feet, I realized that I had come face to face with something that was not human. Today, I am going to tell you about that real experience. I am Rahul with you. I hope you are doing well. Let's start today's journey. I am 19 years old. The incident that I am going to tell you today is not a story. It started on Friday night, May 15th, 2026 of this year. Without further ado, let's get straight to the incident. I will tell the incident in my own words. I have a habit of using fragrance or perfume when I leave the house, day or night. That day was no exception. We have a group of 4 or 5 friends. Whenever the summer season comes, we used to steal mangoes and liches from the nearby gardens in the middle of the night or on stormy days. But that day, for some unknown reason, the rest of my friends could not come. Some time ago, my friend Preetham and I decided to go to the nearby garden to pick mangoes. First, we went to the garden by the railway line. But suddenly, the storm and the clouds increased so much that the surroundings were It became quiet, far away from the settlements on the side of that deserted railway line. Preetham said, "Come on, brother, let's go back from here. Instead, let's go to Thakurbari Rambagan. I got a lot of mangoes there last year." Unable to control my greed, I agreed. "Before that, tell me about that garden." The garden is a huge garden beyond a small field behind the Thakurbari temple. There are several incidents that I have heard from my relatives in our area about that garden. A few years ago, one afternoon, some of the neighborhood's grandfathers were playing cricket in that garden. Suddenly, without any wind, a thick, raw branch of a mango tree fell on one of the grandfathers. As a result, his spine was broken and he became paralyzed. Since this incident, everyone has avoided that garden, but ignoring all my words as rumors, everyone moves towards the garden in the greed of that mango. We did not enter through the main gate, but started moving through a narrow, dark road behind it. That a little further down the road, there is the mysterious Nupurkund pond in his area. Locals say that the pond is not good at all. There is an evil force living there. Usually, no one goes there much even during the day. The storm current was at its peak, but it was strange. There was so much storm, yet not a single mango was falling from the tree. Preetham said, "Ajay, let's go back." But my head was filled with stubbornness. Ignoring his warning, I went straight towards the cart of the cursed Nupurkund pond. Despite all the silence around, it felt as if someone was watching us all the time. Just then, the first miracle happened. I stopped right at the mouth of the cart. Suddenly, I felt someone standing right next to me, breathing hot air. The hairs on my body stood up in fear. At that very moment, I looked up and saw a branch of a mango tree leaning unusually under the water of the pond, as if someone was forcibly pulling it downwards with an invisible hand. Preetham said, "Brother, the situation here does not seem normal. Let's get out of here." But then I was not in control of myself. With some strong attraction, I jumped up and grabbed the branch and picked up the only mango. But as soon as I took the mango in my hand, I was disillusioned. Looking at it, I saw that it was no ordinary mango. It was a completely dry, wrinkled, black, and stained thing. In anger, I threw the mango back at the tree. But believe me, as soon as the mango hit the tree, an invisible hand caught it and sent it back to me like a ball. At that moment, we both didn't stand there for a moment longer and ran towards the house. While running, we heard a sound as if someone was following us. By then, it had started to rain. When I returned home, I thought everything was fine, but the real hellish pain awaited. That night, since midnight, that night, I couldn't sleep at all. From the darkness of the house, I repeatedly felt as if someone was looking at me with intense red eyes. A suffocating discomfort. Finally, I wrapped the sheet in fear and somehow understood the eye. And that's when the first nightmare began. In my dream, I saw myself standing alone on the ghat of the Nupurkund pond, and at the very end of the ghat, near the water tree, a man was sitting on his knees with his head bowed. He was wearing a white robe. The man raised his hand and beckoned me to him. Soon I also moved forward with some unknown fascination. The closer I got, the more hideous and distorted the man's appearance became. A demonic groaning sound came from his throat. As soon as I got very close to him, I suddenly felt a sharp pain in my right leg. Looking down, I saw a black snake holding my leg and biting it. I screamed in pain and started running. And from behind, the mindless laughter of the white-robed figure echoed all around. I knocked on the door in fear, but no one opened the door. And just then, I woke up with a jolt. I looked at the clock and saw that it was exactly 4:40 in the morning. The strangest and scariest thing was that the leg that the snake had bitten in the dream was in severe pain in reality. In the morning, I somehow got up and went to the bathroom to freshen up, and as soon as I opened the bathroom door, my heart shuddered with fear. There was a black snake coiled right next to my waist. Its fanged posture and the glare of its eyes were exactly like the snake in the dream. I screamed in fear and ran out of the bathroom. Later, when everyone in the house went with the stick, there was nothing in the bathroom. The snake disappeared into the air like camphor. In the morning, when I told my mother about the night dream and the snake in the bathroom, she dismissed it as a mistake and a nightmare. That afternoon, I was sleeping alone in the room. Suddenly, it felt like someone had entered the room from outside. I was scared and called out to my mother twice, but there was no response. Thinking it was a mistake, the afternoon rolled around and it was 7 in the evening. Then the real terror came to me. The window of my room faced the back of my house, where the abandoned part of the forest behind the neighbors also falls. My heart trembled as I looked at that dark window. I saw a huge, black, shriveled figure standing in the freezing darkness. Its eyes were bloodshot. It was staring at me with that terrifying gaze. I tried to scream, but no sound came out of my throat. My hands and feet were frozen like ice and turned to stone. Just then, a hoarse voice called out from above the window, "I've come to take you away. Won't you come? Come." With that, a long, black, shriveled hand came through the window, grabbed my hand, and started pulling me outside. I lost consciousness in terror and pain. When I regained consciousness, I saw my mother sitting next to me, caressing my head. Mom said, "Who were you telling me to go or not to go? Go alone in the house. Your phone was kept in the next room." I didn't tell my mom anything else because she might not believe me. I performed ablution for my illness. But the panic didn't end there. That night, as I was falling asleep again, I had a different dream. I saw a terrible fight between my father and uncle in our family, and my uncle was leaving the house. I woke up with a strange dream of family unrest. My soul dried up looking at the house. It was exactly 4:40 in the morning. Along with the pain in my legs, my hands also started to hurt. The next evening, Mom was heating milk in the kitchen to make semai. Mom said, "Ajay, look at the milk. I'm coming." I'm standing in front of the milk pot. Suddenly, everything around me became completely silent. It was as if someone had stopped all the sounds in the whole house for a second. And just then, a strong, icy cold wind came and whispered in my ear. Before I knew it, someone pushed me from behind. I couldn't control myself. My right hand fell into the boiling hot milk pot. I fell down in pain, and when I looked up, I saw a huge, black shadow moving on the back wall in the light of the kitchen fire. But in reality, there was no one behind me. The kitchen was completely empty. Hearing my screams, my mother came running from the next room. I said, trembling with pain and anger, "You asked me to look at the milk, then why did you push me from behind?" My mother fell from the sky. I said, "I told you that," and went to the next room to watch the serial. I heard your screams. A cold current ran through my whole body. If my mother was in the next room, who was standing behind me in the kitchen? Who pushed me into the boiling milk? That night, I didn't sleep alone anymore because of fear. I asked my mother to sleep in my room, but that night too, I couldn't escape. This time, I dreamed that I was standing in a terrible crematorium. 3 pyres were arranged in front of me. The 3 pyres suddenly burst into flames without any fire. And then I saw that group of my friends standing next to the pyre. But their faces were not ordinary, unusually pale. Their eyes were empty. Cold air was coming out of their bodies like ice. When I called them to go back home, they came and started pulling me. They started pulling me towards the pyre fire. I woke up screaming again. I looked at the clock and saw that it was exactly 4:40 in the morning. Why am I waking up at the same time every day? Why am I having these terrible dreams? If you liked today's story, don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned. Comment and tell me how you feel about today's episode. How many ratings out of 10 would you give to any story in terms of fear? Like the episode and share it with your friends. Become a part of the family. The next morning, shortly after my father left the house to go to work, I heard the sound of the door lock opening. I thought maybe my father had left something, but what I saw when I looked out the window shook my soul. I saw the door of the room open and a very tall figure almost touching the ceiling. A scraggly black figure entered the room. It stared at me and at my mother, who was sleeping next to me. I somehow gathered courage and asked in a trembling voice, "Who are you?" That figure said in a serious voice, "Won't you come with me?" And in the blink of an eye, it merged with the air of the room. As the day progressed, I saw that my hands and feet were getting blackened with scratches, and burns like burns had formed. This was no longer a mistake of the mind. When I told my parents everything at night, they said, "These are the result of listening to ghost stories on the phone all day." But that night, the most terrifying thing happened. I suddenly woke up late at night to a strange sound. It felt like someone was calling me by my exact name from outside the room. "Won't you go? Come on, Ajay. Come on, Ajay." Twice in a row, I remembered the night call of the people's faith, which is called 3 times in a familiar voice. I put my ear to the window and clearly heard someone walking heavily in the forest and whispering in that familiar hoarse voice, "Come, I will not go." I could not bear it any longer. I took out my phone and played Hanuman Chalisa at full volume in fear. The next morning, I woke up and saw that my hands and feet had new black marks and scratches. I went straight to my friend Preetham's house. When I told him everything, he was surprised and said that nothing like this had happened to him. When I told Preetham's mother everything, she came from their family's ancient Jagrata Kali temple. She brought a sacred flower from her mother's feet and gave it to me and said, "Keep it under the pillow and sleep." When I returned home that day, I wiped my body with sandalwood salt. I sprinkled Ganga water all over the house. I burnt camphor, cloves, and salt in the house. I put a piece of iron and the flower of my mother's feet under my pillow and went to bed. But at around 1:30 a.m., suddenly, someone started banging on the front door of my room, very loudly. It felt as if someone would break the door and come inside. Out of fear, I held the flower of my mother's feet tightly to my chest in the corner of the bed and started remembering Mother Kali. After a while, the banging stopped. The next day, I somehow escaped and went to my friend's house. I thought that changing places would save me from danger. But while going by train and auto, I noticed a tall, black man following me everywhere, keeping a distance of exactly 10 to 12 hands from me. When Pishi reached home, Pishi told him everything and took me to a local Imam Sahib. Surprisingly, that man was also standing outside Imam Sahib's residence. Hearing everything, Imam Sahib became serious and said, "Father, that night, the mango tree from which you forcibly pulled a branch and got a mango was sitting on that branch. It got very angry because you grabbed that branch with the smell of your perfume. It followed you and wants to take you to its world. It is its evil eye that has made you in this condition." Then Imam Sahib rubbed me for a long time. He closed his eyes and tied a talisman with holy water on my hand. He said, "Whenever the effect of the evil energy is completely gone, this talisman will come off on its own after so many days. I am quite well. And now, those terrible dreams don't come. Or I don't wake up at 4:40, but I still have that talisman tied on my hand." I hope you all enjoyed this harrowing real-life experience of mine. Please let me know in the comments.